everyone. Welcome to the 42nd, that's my lucky number, by the way, episode of the Do It Big Shit Today podcast. I'm Hannah Gilbert, and I'm here with the dope-ass man, Charlie Lawrence. Hello, Charlie.
Hannah, what is good? How are you?
I am well, sir. I'm really well, especially because you're on the podcast today, which I am so fucking stoked about. I'm going to curse a lot on this episode because, like, the stoke is really, really, really real.
I'm glad you said that. Yeah, because I always like, can I swear? Can I not?
Yes.
So that's
dude,
great.
yeah. The podcast is called Do It Big Shit Today. Knock your socks off.
There we go. Yep.
Quick background before we jump right into it, because I have a holy crap ton of questions for you. So I messaged you, I think it was the day of or the day after. I saw on someone's Instagram that, like, Charlie Lawrence just broke the world record for 50 miles in 4 hours, 48 minutes. And I think my exact words were, holy shit balls, dude, in your comment section.
Yeah, it was, so same day, and then the DM, like, kind of right after.
Yep.
And, like, I mean, this, like, I'm not complaining, but I had to dig myself out of a DM hole. But
I bet.
Like, of course, when I saw it, I'm like, so we definitely got to chat about this. So
yeah.
Easy to do.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I know we chatted briefly before we started recording about how, like, you mentioned, like, you knew you had the potential to do this. It was just more a matter of the execution. But are you still on cloud nine? Has it, like, have you come to terms with what just happened, not even a little bit over a week ago, a little bit less than a week ago?
Yeah. So, and I don't want to come off like too arrogant or too cocky, but I just fully expected myself to do it. A lot of body work behind it, a lot of awesome long runs here in Boulder at altitude. Obviously done 50 miles long, but some that were 25 miles at a faster pace, 24 miles at a way faster pace, 20 miles at like 20 mid. So obviously you still got to double that and do more, just double the 25. Just the body work that I put behind it, how I felt doing those harder efforts. I ran a 2:16 marathon a month prior as a workout for this. So I'm like, well,
love that. Go ahead.
So truthfully, like, I'm excited with it. I'm thrilled. I have a world record, American record, like, on my resume now. But at the same time, it's just like, I didn't necessarily surprise myself. I know I definitely surprised a lot of people, but not necessarily myself, because I knew the body work behind it. So happy with it, but I'm already, like, ready. Like, I have to go get ready for the trials now. We're 80 days away. So it's like, just an easy week, a down week, and then back to it. So
yeah. Have you read the book Endurance by chance? And it's totally off topic, sort of.
Who wrote it?
Hold on. Alex Hutchinson. It's this bad boy.
Oh yeah, Endure. Yes.
Endure.
Yes.
Oh yeah, Endure, not Endurance.
So when that came out, that's why it sounds so familiar.
Yeah.
That's a great book. I read it in, don't quote me, 2019, I think.
Okay. The last chapter he talks about belief, and it doesn't sound cocky or arrogant. I think the first thing is, like, you actually have to believe you're doing it, or other, like, what are you doing if you don't actually believe that you actually can accomplish what you're setting out to do? So
yeah, if I didn't think I could do it, I had no business being on that start line. Like everyone who does ultras and stuff, you're animals. Like, for me, I was like, I had this goal. That's the reason I was doing 50 miles. Like, to just go on 50 miles, like, you're built different for sure. For me, like, I just wanted to go shoot for this. So that's what motivated me. People that are just motivated to go, like, do it, I'm like, like, that's awesome.
So I did some of the math, and correct me if I'm wrong. So you did 4 hours, 48 minutes, 21 seconds, 50 miles. So that's an average of, like, 5:46 pace?
5:46 per mile, yep.
So, I mean, this probably doesn't sound like a big deal, but for those, like, that don't run that pace, like, I run a mile at around, like, an 8-minute pace. That's fucking fast. So at what, like, were you in pain the entire time? Were you, like, walk me through this race? Because it's record breaking, but it's also, like, mind boggling as well.
Yeah. So I guess kind of going back to what I started with, where I'd had some very solid long runs. I mean, there was one where it's just like, it's at altitude in Boulder, harder loop what I did. I mean, we'll just put it in like perspective, like 20 miles one day, just did it with warm up, cool down. The 20 miles in the middle was at a 5:25 pace. This is all like pre-marathon. Then a month up from a marathon, I did another one, 24 miler at 5:32 pace, um,
Okay.
on just a loop. Had a couple other long runs with the buddy Luis Orta. He's a Venezuelan Olympian. 25 miles, both were sub 6 pace on very very rolling terrain.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, this course, Tunnel Hill, it's a double up and back. So it's roughly 13 miles south, a little over 13 miles back up. Then you go, 11 and change up, 11 and change back. It's like 26.6, like at the middle where you start.
Yeah.
And for me, I was just like, the plan was, I think I can run after like all that work at altitude. Ran up to 145 miles a week. I had a month where there wasn't a month under 140 for a month this summer for 4 weeks in a row. So I had the aerobic base. I knew I had the legs, had the body work, a lot of marathon specific work. So at like 5:05, 5:10 pace. So I knew like this pace range would be relatively doable for, at least 30, 35 miles. I felt I could do 5:40 to 5:45. So that was the goal that I set out on. So for me, just from the start, it was like, get out on pace, have some money in the bank, and then see what you can do. Because I'm in uncharted territory after realistically like 30 miles, even 35. I had one
Right.
train day. It was a 35-mile day, and it was 28 in the morning, 7 in the afternoon with like a big workout, like within the 28 in the morning. The 7 miles in the afternoon was just like a shakeout, time on feet, run easy.
Yeah.
So that being said, I was like, I just don't know what's going to happen beyond that mark. So I need to get out, have a little bit of money in the bank just in case things do go south.
Right.
So I double checked today, and every mile through mile 24 was all under 5:40. So I had a lot of time, even though there's a paved stretch too.
Mm-hmm.
Right when you at the self turnaround for probably it's about a half mile, and I was like, I'm a road guy. Like it was, so the trail is crushed gravel,
Okay.
sandstone. So it's a softer surface, which kind of it was by design to have it that way because it's hopefully it'll save your quads over the extent of this race. So, but with that being said, it's a little slower. But we hit this paved part at the turnaround at the south turnaround, so 13 miles in, and I put in 2 miles at 5:27 and 5:28, where miles 13 and 14. So I'm like, in my head, I'm like, dude, you just put 40 seconds down on, I need to run 5:48 pace to break the record. So from there,
Right.
we're shooting back up north. Felt pretty, I won't say effortless, but I'm just very, very, very comfortable at that pace range,
Yeah.
for a long time. So through about 30, it felt pretty relaxed. Like, I mean, very controlled for sure and relaxed for sure through the first at least 20.
Yeah.
The first time that I saw, like I said, anything over 5:40 was mile 25, and it was like 5:40 point whatever. So,
Yeah.
but that's where it got hard because the course it's pretty much net flat on the going out and back, the first out and back south, but then the next really 11 miles you're climbing the entire time, and it's nothing aggressive, like it's not steep or anything, but it's gradual the entire, like that's
Mm.
the entire way, up to this old like train tunnel. That's why it's called Tunnel Hill. So it's like
Oh,
it
gotcha.
felt it felt like it was like 200 meters long because it was like it got so dark. Like I had to take my sunglasses off, and the only thing you could see was just the light ahead. Like you couldn't see the ground. It was
Jesus.
trippy, but it was pretty sick. So, so for that, so that stretch from like 26 to like 38 and change whatever it was at the tunnel, you're climbing. So for me, it's like I'm well under pace now. It's like I just need to stay on this pace, at least close
Right.
to, because I'm going uphill. So that stretch, I haven't necessarily added all of it up, but I probably averaged like 550 ish for that section, 555, like that range.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, I'm 30 plus miles in. I specifically remember like 34 miles being at that point, being like, I'm working really hard and I'm not seeing that fast of splits. Like I'm still sub 6. I'm like 550s ish. Had a couple like 540 highs in there. But I was just telling myself, I'm like, oh, you've done 16-mile long runs, in Boulder, like at this pace or right
Yeah.
about near at altitude. So it should be about even. You can hold it. So you go through the tunnel, get up, so you go through the tunnel, go down for a couple miles, turn back uphill, then you essentially go downhill back to the finish. So
Okay.
which is honestly, it's great because you have the downhill essentially. It flattens up for the last like mile and a half or so, but for roughly 40-ish, 39 and change to 47, you are gradually going downhill. But the thing where it got really hard at 42 is probably what I'll start with.
Okay.
And the reason why is because like I put so much work into maintaining pace up that hill, that I just lost kind of all power in my legs and popped. So then I'm running slightly downhill and my quads are taking a beating after already working super hard to maintain pace going up.
Up.
So that wasn't fun. So it was doing more damage than it was really good, honestly, just because it's just essentially pounding my quads more. So at that point too, it was just like I'm checking my watch, making sure I'm like
Yeah.
still on pace, and truthfully, like I knew I had a lot of time in the bank. It got, like I said, 42 got really hard. There was an aid station at 45 that like my crew couldn't be at because it was pretty desolate. It was just a bridge like on the trail. So the race just put like water out, and I was like, I had one more gel and one more ketone shot
Shit.
from HVMN in my pocket. I wanted to save till 45. But at like 42 and a half, I'm like, I need this. So I pull my gel, rip it, ketone shot, rip it. And I'm out of fuel until like the last aid station is like 47.2. So it's like, at that point you're essentially home. And you're not going to get a ton of benefit from it, but I'm like, just convince myself, like, just get to that and you'll be home. You'll be better. But I will say it got to the point where after it starts to flatten out, let's say at about 47 and change, again, don't quote me on these exact distances, but
yeah,
my quads are, pardon my French, they're fucked. So and I'm just like, and my pace is slipping. It feels like my legs are, again, they're turning over, they're moving, but there's just like, I feel like I'm like not getting any power. Like I'm putting them down, setting them like down, up is like what it feels like I'm going in place. So, yeah, my quads fried. So I'm like, do I stop and stretch? Do I do something? Like, what do I do? But I'm like, if you stop, there's no way you'll be able to start again.
Yeah.
So I keep going, but I'm just short of like the aid station at like, 47 point, whatever. And I'm like, F it, I got to try something. So I stop and just stretch my quads really quick. Just pull them up for about 10 seconds. And that was like right when the, 47 mile marker split. So it's like, so that splits, it was like a 13 because I'm blowing up. I'm like, so I like quick stop for 10 seconds, stretch them. I look down, check my watch, and it just says that I'm on like 750 pace. I'm like, oh my god, no. But the good news is I'm like, you just gotta you can't, you just gotta go start. So I start running again, and my quads felt way better.
Okay.
But for about 3/4 of a mile, they felt better.
Okay.
And then, well, see, and here's the thing. I got back to it. I got my bottle. I ran past my buddy Shane, who drove down from Minnesota, where I was originally born. Grabbed it, and I'm like, and I know I'm under 3 miles, and I'm just like, how much farther? Like I knew it was 2 point something. He's like, it's like about 5K, and I'm like, he's so wrong. I'm like, that's the last thing I wanted to hear. But again, like I'm doing this mental math in my head, and I'm like, dude, you can run 7 flats home and still break it by a little bit. So mile 47 and 48 were, 48, 49. So like splitting from 47 to 48, 48 to 49. We're both 6:30s right on the money. And then I was 6:13 last mile, and then, right at home, like right at the finish. So like I knew I had it. I saw my watch, click at like, at like 49 to like 2:43.
Yeah.
Or sorry, 4:43 something. So I was like, cool, you run, 42. So I'm like, cool, you run like a 6 minute, even mid, you got it like by like a minute.
Right.
So, yeah, that's pretty much the race through and through. And here, I'll show you the course profile. It's like, it's a very quick course, but still like that climb hurts. Like that's yeah. So it's like you're working for sure.
Yeah.
And obviously like that looks steep and aggressive, but it's like it is gradual throughout. But that whole up is 8 miles minimum. So
yeah, and that shit adds up, even if it's gradual or not.
Oh yeah, well, it's actually because I already had 30 miles roughly in my legs. Right. So.
Okay, so I have another question. So how, when you're, like when I'm in pain, when I'm pushing myself, the last thing I want to do is like try to do math. How the hell are you punching and putting these numbers together while your body is on like you're pushing the holy hell out of it? How is that working?
Yeah, honestly, I think it's just years of
Okay.
like of being a runner and just kind of getting that math down. And a lot of it comes from just like, especially long runs. It's like you just can start doing simple math, like 6 minute pace. It's like 18 minutes, 24, 30, 36. And if you're at, an hour 36, you're 16 miles in, 15 is an hour 30, 20 is 2 hours. So you just try to kind of subtract off of that.
All right.
And work around that. So even like 20 miles in, and don't quote me on the exact time, but I was like, even 20 miles in, 25 miles in, I'm like, I can run 6 flats and still get the record. And I'm like, cool. Or it might have even been, yeah, like 30 miles in, I look and I'm like, okay, if I run 6 flat, that's 2 hours on top of what I'm running. I still get it by, this, because I was easily running, slower than that or thereabout. So at least at certain points, obviously slower.
Yeah. Because I think also when I've chatted with other runners as well, when you're pushing yourself to that level of the limit, you need like your mental math comes into play as a guide of like, okay, like if I've got 12 miles left, that's 2 6 miles. I can do 2 6 miles, so I think it's helpful in that instance. But when you're like crunching numbers, like, okay, if I'm doing this pace at this time and your entire body is screaming at you, it's very impressive.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, and you hit it too on the head. Like part of it is just like, I'm very comfortable, like, at those paces for a long time. But even though I say I'm comfortable, it's still uncomfortable, and I can just sit there for a long time at that pace, at that like uncomfortable range. And I think that's maybe a skill, a talent, like whatever it is, like just being able to withstand being that uncomfortable, a little bit of pain for just a long, long time. And then that's what kind of makes me good at long runs,
Yeah.
Kind of what you said too. It's like, 12 miles, that's only 6 miles, and I only have 6 miles to go.
Right.
So it was just mind games the entire time
Yeah.
like that. Like aid stations were average out to be roughly every 5 miles. I mean, there are 10 of them throughout 50 miles, but some were 3 miles apart, some were 7 miles apart. The hardest part, like I said, was like mile like 40-ish to like 47, when there wasn't any. So that's like made sure I stashed gels and a ketone shot in there. But it was just like, even when I started hurting, even at 34, it's like, okay, I have, again, don't quote me, or even at like 32, whatever aid station was, it's like, I started feeling tired. It's like, okay, like I can hold this for 2 more miles, 3 miles, whatever, to the next station. I'll get my gel, get my bottle, whatever I have in there. I'll finish that. Like in the moment, you're telling yourself that 2 more miles, get your bottle. You finish that, you're going to feel so much better. Like you're going to feel better.
Right.
Even though I didn't, like I get the bottle. You can
Knew you.
Yeah, exactly. But you just like, you keep playing these little mind games, and like, you keep fooling yourself. And it's just like, I tell myself, I'm like, finish the bottle, like get the entire gel down, get all the electrolytes, get all the carbs. It's like, so it'll make you feel better, dude. Like, and even if it's like, you might not feel better instantly because it has to digest a little bit, but it'll take a few minutes and you'll feel better. So you just wait to feel better, and then you kind of don't. But at that point, you're like, I have a few miles to the next aid station. I can do it again.
Yeah.
And just keep the same thing. Like I can hold the space for 3 more miles and I'll feel,
Yeah.
So that was just on repeat for really the last kind of 20 miles.
And that's a long time to repeat that sort of shit to yourself. Like you're like, I don't know about you, but like my body goes into pure panic. It's like when it hits that level, it's like, okay, we're shutting down. So to try to like coerce it of like, it's all right. You're good. Next aid station.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing too. It's just like, I'm out here like in Boulder doing these long runs. It's just the same thing. It's just like, I just like tell myself, even though some days it's like physically hard, it's like, you can go run 6 miles or 6 minute pace easy. So I'm just kind of the same, bring the same swagger to the race. So I wish that same mentality, and it, works to an extent.
Right.
And, I guess it, it did work last Saturday. So,
and that's truly, I mean, you have to go in there with that sense of self-confidence, or what the fuck are you doing there?
Yeah.
Damn. So did you fuel yourself? Cause I'm very impressed with like the ultra runners and elite runners. Are you like chomping on bagels? Are you pure gels? Are you like the carbohydrate drinks? Like you mentioned ketone, which I'll probably have more questions about later, but how are you fueling for that long?
Yeah. So I was like, again, I don't want to say this is like trial and error. But
Okay.
I just kind of took my marathon fueling plan and just like put it in, like extrapolated it to 50 miles. It's probably the best way to put it, which might have been bold, but I know how my marathon fueling sits. And for me, it's like, I took relatively similar combinations of things. I took the exact same like 3 things throughout my marathon as I did with the 50 mile, just like in different kind of ratios or different intervals, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So for like the marathon, it was like first bottle was a gel with electrolytes. So this is
Okay.
roughly every in a marathon it's gonna be every, 3 miles 5K. So in the
Yeah.
marathon it was um, a gel with electrolytes. So this is all BPN, Performance Nutrition.
Okay.
Their electrolytes, their gel. Next bottle was G1M, which is their carb mix, and then third bottle was a ketone with G1M, their carb mix, and then that rotated like every those three, then repeat 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 for 9 bottles in a marathon. So I was like,
Okay.
well, okay, so for 50 miles, it's gonna average out to be roughly every 5 miles or so. So like the first aid stations was like 5.5, 11 point whatever, 13 point something, 16,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So, but it all averages out to be roughly 5. So I'm like, cool. So I definitely need to make sure I'm getting enough carbs in. I'm not burning as hot as I do in a marathon, obviously, because you're running a slower pace. But I just need to make
Okay.
sure I get the similar nutrition because I know how it sits and I've practiced pretty
Yeah.
religiously. Like I had like a couple of dress rehearsal days where there's a 3 mile loop here in Boulder in the farm roads, and it's just like um, perfect. You set a table up at 3 miles in, and you just boom 3 miles every
Oh,
time.
that's
Grab the
awesome.
bottle, practice. It's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like uphill one way, downhill the other. Awesome loop. So just with that being said, I'll practice. I'm like, I don't want to switch it up that much, but here's what I'll do. I'll just do like every other bottle, like 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 will be a electrolytes with a gel. Then every other
Mm-hmm.
will be G1M with ketones. So,
Okay.
and that was one thing too, where earlier you touched on like how do you stay so focused and all that, and like
Yeah.
I do take products called In Focus. So it's also by BPN.
Okay.
Helps with just like mental, keeps you like just mentally dialed. That's also like the effect that ketones have as well. So I'm fortunate like caffeine sits well in my stomach and everything, but I just think I get a little more from ketones almost, and it's sort of focused. So roughly every 10
Mm.
miles, I'm getting a shot of ketones, which also just helps with energy and helps prevent bonking because when you are low on carbs, your body produces ketones anyways. So you already have those in your system. So your body doesn't have to go into kind of a desperation mode. So it's a dual fuel
Damn.
source that and
Yeah.
carbs.
Yeah. Because that was my thing, was like the fear of bonking is like, because you never can get to 50 miles in a training session. You have to just kind of just hope the plan you have is working, cross your fingers for no bonking. So I mean, if damn, that's impressive.
You see, like I'll say I did use those, all of them, just to make sure I wasn't gonna bonk. But truthfully, at 42, legs were fried. That's also contributed
Yeah.
to being for sure low on calories and getting close to bonking. So
Yeah. But I think what's also impressive with that though is like when your body is screaming at you to slow down is the mental pushing past it. Because I mean, truth be told, was your body at one point like, dude, what the fuck are we doing? Like, why are we like? Does your body ever tell you to stop? Does that ever
oh
or
yeah,
no?
I mean it was like is in a way. I mean it wanted to it wanted to be done at about like once we got to the top through the tunnel and to the north turnaround when you had like
Yeah.
10-ish miles to go, like my body, because you turn around and you're downhill after the tunnel, you run back up and then you have the downhill again. So it was
Okay.
just like at that turnaround I was like, dog, but like this hurts, like this is not feeling good. But again too, like I hit that turnaround, like I saw my crew through the tunnel, went
Yeah.
down to the turnaround, and I was like 2 miles to that turnaround. I'm like, it's only 2 miles back to my next bottle. It's gonna be great. Like I'm gonna see, like my girlfriend was there, like she had that bottle, so I'm like,
Oh.
yeah, I'm like, I'll see Bay for a hot second, like grab the bottle
Yeah.
and keep ripping. So, um,
Yeah, that sounds about right.
yeah.
Damn. So okay, so walk me to the finish line because you were aware of the world record while like were you going for it like I'm gonna break the world record into this race or were you gonna go for a PR or both of those in one kind of go around?
Oh yeah, it was world record, American
Love
record.
that.
Would have been, and I hate saying this, it would have been just a completely like failed attempt had I not come away with it. At least it would have felt like that way to me.
Yeah, totally.
Because I've been talking about this for really 2 years to the people close to me. I was injured all of
Oh,
2022, so
okay.
hadn't had a chance to go for it because of that injury, and it just like right time. Maybe not the most ideal time with the Olympic trials now coming up in 80 days, but for me it was like I want to take a crack while I think I have a great shot at it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I went there for that reason. I I'd have been pretty pissed if I ran 50 miles and didn't come away with that
Come
record.
on, yeah. Damn. So you essentially been like had this in the back of your mind for like 2 years.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I remember
okay.
I was having dinner with a buddy he's another pro runner out here. And he was just like, yeah, what do you like? I know you want to dabble in some ultras. Like I had paced my friend Des to her 50K world record prior, in the summer or the spring of 21. So I knew I wanted to kind of make a jump to ultra running at some point. I was
Yeah.
just loved long runs, all that. Responded well to high volume and those long runs. So it'd been on the radar. And Fernando, my buddy, who I was having dinner with this fall of 21. Was like, you should do Tunnel Hill, and like I never heard of it because I'm still a newbie to like ultra races and like figuring just like I've heard names of races, but I'm like, oh, like didn't know it was an ultra race. Thought it was just like
A
you know,
sightseeing spot. Yeah. Gotcha.
yeah. I mean, who knows? So yeah, so because of he said that, and I was like, why Tunnel Hill? He's like, oh, because it's crushed gravel, majority of it, like 99% of it. So it'll save your legs over it. It'll slow you down, but ultimately, it's like hopefully it's an advantage,
Yeah.
for that reason for my quads going up. Maybe that because we used to go back to my marathons. Like I've run
Yeah.
216 twice, and it's like every time I run, my quads still get pretty fatigued at around 22, 23. I guess my first
Yeah.
one I felt really fatigued at like 18. So I'm like,
Oh,
well, it could be just because I'm pounding on pavement pretty hard. So it's like, yeah, that makes sense. Like save your
yeah.
quads. So to answer your question, yeah, 2 years, and then really this summer was when I really kind of like set my sights on it. Really late July, mid July, I was like, I want to go for this. I was in Michigan with Des, and she's like, well, you can't just talk about it forever. Like if it's like, might as well go for it. Like
Yeah.
in my college coach, he kind of told me the same thing. It's like if you feel like it's the right time to go for it, like go for it. Like you don't want to like not go for it and then regret not doing something. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah, that was kind of all
Damn.
the push I needed. So,
Yeah. So 2 years, I not to like pay like focus on the 2 years, but I think it's like grind, like fucking finally, like you finally got. I think that's important to share because I think people like they see the highs, but like you've worked your ass off, and it,
oh
you
yeah,
know,
and
so
it was super satisfying in this regard too, where I'm talking about it fall 21. Well, January 2022, I come down with a grade 4 sacral stress fracture, so I couldn't I couldn't walk normally. Like I literally yeah, I literally cracked my sacrum right in half. Like I felt it kind of right away. Kept training on it. Thought it was like a high glute issue.
yeah,
Um, and of course, my dumbass like wanted to like. So I ran the Houston half January like like January 15th or something of
okay,
22. Well, in the US 50K champs were supposed to be the end of February 22, and they were, and I wanted to win that. That was hopefully going to be my coming up party in the Ultra World. Um, but yeah, grade 4, like I I'm like walking like I couldn't roll over in bed for about a month. Like it hurt so bad, and even like walking like around my condo, I'm just
oh,
like putting my hands on stuff, just like it hurts so bad. So I spent literally the
oh,
majority of the winter and spring. Then it actually flared back up in the summer of 22. So I didn't race from January 2022 till February of 23. So I spent the majority of that time cross training in the pool around a bike. So it made it
damn,
pretty damn sweet when I got it. But it was something that was still in the back of my mind, like
yeah,
mentally, like in the pool on the bike. It's like I tell myself, it's like, well, if you're gonna run 50 miles, you got to run 4 hours 40 minutes and change. Like so, 3 hours in the pool shouldn't bother you, dude. That should be fine. Or 5 hours on the
yeah,
bike, that shouldn't bother you. You should be fine, dude. Like you got to be able to
yeah,
run this far. So definitely was a little extra driving force with cross training, and I went pretty crazy like with cross training, pretty hard. I mean, there were a couple of weeks where I'm upper 30 hour wise on time in the pool, time on the bike overall. So just
Jesus
to like,
Christ,
yeah, just try to stay like aerobically fit, So,
yeah,
and like truthfully, I could have just taken like a month off and would have been fine. But like in hindsight, but it's just like I love the process of just like getting up and like working my ass off. So
yeah,
like, yes, I'm excited about this, but there's already something else that's on the calendar. There's
yeah,
already something that I want to go later on in the year in 2024, and it's just like
yeah,
that's either like a strength of mine or just like a downfall as well because I just always want to like go, especially with training. Like it's a good thing and a bad thing, but I just lock myself in Boulder and
yeah.
go train. So
You have the Olympic trials coming up. So walk me through what that looks like.
Yeah, so this is, I don't say the trials right now are a mess, but like I think most people would agree with it that it's a mess. Like it was initially supposed to be slated for, so it's February 3rd in Orlando as of right now.
Okay.
Apparently there's not a contract signed by USATF and the like organizing committee yet for Orlando,
Oh,
but
jeez.
they just changed the start time from noon to 10 a.m. because it's supposed to be hot.
Oh, okay.
Which like no shit, it's gonna be hot. It's Florida. Like
It's Florida.
I yeah, the professional group I was with in 2020, prior to the 2020 trials in Atlanta, we stayed down actually just south of Orlando. It was the Hanson's Brooks group, um,
Okay.
and so trained with them, and yeah, it was terrible. Like it was humid the entire time we're
It's
down
humid
there.
as shit. I'm here right now. I'm
Yeah,
sweating balls. It's
yeah,
hot.
yeah, yeah, humid and hot. So like, of course, like the next, like the trials though in Atlanta were cold and windy, and it was miserable. But nonetheless, like they moved the start time back. Should be in Orlando. It's going to be a total mess. As of right now, it's weird. So on the women's side, top three go. Whoever plays top three at the Olympic trials go. On the men's side right now, it'll only be the top two because men have only two U.S. men have run the Olympic standard of 2:08:10. So that like if you have more than three men run under the Olympic standard, you unlock three spots to your trials. So essentially, as of this point, like only two men can qualify. Other men can
Okay.
qualify off of certain world rankings, but based off the race, only two men will qualify. Um, is how it's been explained to me and how I understand it. I
Okay.
could be completely wrong though, but
Okay.
that's how I understand it. It's because only two men, um, Connor Mance and Clayton Young, both training partners live in Utah. They're the only two guys that have run under 2:08:10.
Okay.
And then US women are killing it. They have double digit people that have run under the women's Olympic standard. So,
Okay.
um, but yeah, top three go. And, for me, it's like, I'm a 216 guy, I've like, the top guy in the US right now, Connor's run 207. Like, I'm just not, I'm a good marathoner, not a great marathoner. That's why I'm like, I think I can really ball out at these longer distances because of
Yeah.
like mentally I can just lock in for that long. And like I was telling you earlier, I like kind of that
The,
range and I'm comfortable at that range or relatively comfortable and comfortable longer
mm-hmm.
than most people or can deal with that uncomfortableness longer.
Yeah.
So the plan there is just like, truthfully, I hope it's hot. I hope it's miserable for a lot of people and I'm like probably gonna get roasted for that. But like for me, that plays into my advantage because I'm like,
Yeah.
again, I've run 2:16:10. Like if I can just go in and try to get like a PR, run 2:15, I think I'm probably physically capped out around like 2:12 on a great day, 2:13, just
Mm-hmm.
my physical capabilities at that distance. Um, Probably won't be able to run that in Orlando based on how the weather is projected to be. I mean, we'll probably 60 at the coolest. So yeah, which is miserable for racing.
Yes.
So and it's only getting hotter too because it's a 2 hour race. So we'll finish at noon. So that being said, it's like for me, it's go in and just try to compete.
Yeah.
Everyone on the scene, everyone at trials, we all know each other. For me, like I was 61st in 2020. So like goal one is just be better than that. Like the
Yeah.
thing too is like a lot of other people have stepped up, for sure. So I think like A plus goal is like top 20, top 25, B is like top 40, C is just, top 50, beat 60th. But you never know. I mean, people show up, some people don't show up and,
Yeah.
some people's days. So, that's kind of
Love that.
that's kind of at least how I'm looking at it. And I'm already excited to get ready for, another block and back to work. So.
Yeah. When is your official block? Because I hope have you been just quote chilling, like just relaxing, hot tub? No. Are you running again? Are you already running? Jesus Christ. Oh, sorry.
No,
Penis.
you're good. No, I mean, I got back got back Sunday morning. And for me, it's just like my body just like responds well. I mean, even after the marathon I ran, I was over 100 miles the next week after the marathon,
Yeah.
back to work, getting ready for the 50 miler. So with this, it was like I got back, I've done some shakeouts.
Yep.
My massage therapist wants me in the pool, but I hate the pool. I did my time. But I love Marcus, so I'll get in the pool.
Yeah.
Probably tomorrow just for him. But it's like I was telling him, I'm like, dude, I did my time last year. I mean, like the most time I did in the pool was 3 hours and 45 minutes one time. Just aqua jogging. So like I did my fair share of
oh my god
of time in there. So I don't want to go back. That no,
no.
but it's good for recovery. So
3 hours and 45 minutes in the pool. Do you have like a
yeah,
show? Are you watching something? That's so, oh my God. Are you just focused, locked in?
I just had my headphones in, and then just
Okay.
like podcasts or
Oh, okay.
or music.
Jeez,
One or
thank
the other. Yeah,
God.
there was one day though, and I'll put him on blast. So one of my former teams, Aiden Reed, like one of the best kids you'll ever meet. Um, he was supposed to meet me one morning to aqua jog. And it's like it's winter here in Boulder, and
Uh-huh.
Aiden's car was busted, so he was gonna bike from his place to the rec center to aqua jog. But like we got snow, but he's like, no, I'll still make it. Like I can pick you up, whatever. He's like, nope, I'll just meet you there. Like I was gonna go like 90 minutes, right? He was gonna go an hour. So I'm like, well, whatever. I'll go early, do my half an hour, then I'll have you for the last hour. Well, I get to like 40 minutes and Aiden's not there, and I'm just like, it's like maybe he's biking, the weather's not great, whatever. We'll keep
Yeah.
like no worry, just keep going. I ended up doing like 2 hours 45 minutes on my own without music because I was like, I can do a half an hour without music or anything, and I didn't want to get out of the pool because I'm like, if I get out, I'm not going to get back in.
Yep.
So that was probably the craziest. Yeah, almost 3 hours, and like same thing with the 2:45 and the 3:45.
Yeah.
I just gone like I hit my point where like usually I can convince myself like 15 more minutes is easy, but I'm like, no, I'm not going 15 more minutes.
No.
I've done no headphones for 2 hours 45, and that one was like I've done 3:45 in this thing. Like the lifeguards have like their shifts have
Shifted several times.
yeah, there's different lifeguards here now. Like, so yeah, so nonetheless, that was a tangent. But with that being said, my body just craves like some form of activity, and it's just like
Yeah.
again, I go stir crazy without it. Again, I know I need rest, but I just like mentally just love just getting out and running.
Yeah. I think you have to. If you're doing what you're doing, you got to love what you're doing, or you'd go insane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Damn. Okay. So you got the Olympic trials, and then because you talk about potentially going more into ultra, would you ever do like 100 miler?
that's a big question mark for sure.
Okay.
So what I touched on earlier was like, yeah, there's another goal like at the end of 24. So that
Yeah.
fall, like nothing's been announced yet. Like it should happen. But US 100K or not US World 100K Championships.
Be sick.
Yeah. So that's probably the farthest I'll go, honestly.
Okay.
Is 100K, so 62 and a half. But after running what I did, and again, I'm not on the selection committee or anything for USA Track and Field, but hopefully 50, like they take 50 miles into consideration for 100K. Hopefully they'll take a world record.
I would think so. For the love of God, I would hope so.
Yeah, as a decent enough performance to get me on a world team for the 100K. So, judging the last few miles of the 50 miles wasn't pretty, but if I had to, I could definitely go 100K. So
Yeah. Oh, that'd be
we'll
sick.
Yeah.
Okay. 720. I love that. So going back to like you talked about how like your body likes it craves movement. What do you think like when you get up at like jump out of bed and you're like I'm gonna break the world record for the 50 miler? What do you think drives you to think that way, or like what's like your motivation?
I think it's just something that I've just had in my personality really since birth. Like I've just always been. I don't say I was a spastic kid, but I was just hyper competitive. And if I lost, I was throwing a fucking fit or crying. Like
Yeah.
I just always wanted to be on top of that podium and like win at everything I did, whether it was like let's say like the first kid to the playground, like in elementary school, or your middle school recess, you're playing football, like you better believe like I'm running the deep route and you better throw it to me because like I'm gonna catch it and we're gonna win.
Yeah.
So it's just that like that trait in my personality. It's like just always shooting to be like the best in whatever I'm doing, in that capacity. So for me, it was like, and again too, it's like it's not a like, and I can say it because it's just obvious. Like I was saying, I'm not gonna make an Olympic team in the marathon, So it's like, but what am I really fucking good at? It's like hard long runs, and I think I have the mental fortitude to go do something pretty hard at this ultra distance and go get a record. So for me, it's just like trying to be as good as I can and try to be the best in the world. That was something that clearly at 50 miles right now I am. Yeah, that drive I've had since forever, and I think a lot of it came from like my dad too. He was a D2, like he played football. He actually had a short stint with the Vikings. He was at training camp with them. So he was a hell of an athlete himself. My grandpa was a D1 starting quarterback for the Minnesota Gophers back in the 40s. Um,
Nice.
so just come from like a family of like just very like competitive athletes.
Yeah.
Um, for me, I'm 5'10", I'm 138 pounds, 140 pounds. Like I would never be a good athlete, like in the small town I grew up in playing basketball and stuff, but like I was never going to be that level of a basketball player or football player.
Mm,
And I just had kind of a knack. My mom was a runner too, so I just had a
okay.
knack for running, and it's just like it's just fun beating people. I'm so competitive. Um, so that was definitely it.
So, what would be your, looking back now, you've been running for since you're, when did you start running? Like little bitty?
Yeah, so really like kind of second grade when I decided to go to cross country practice when my parents got
Okay.
divorced, to either go to daycare or cross country practice. But I mean, truthfully, through seventh grade was when I started to take like I took it serious because I was like I did like the local town 5K and stuff over the summer and
Yeah.
like jingle bell runs and stuff and be like dominating my age group. I'm the youngest in my age group, still dominating it. But like truthfully, seriously, as soon as I got into middle school, it's like, all right, let's see what we can really do because now
Mm,
we're officially doing it as a high school sport, I guess. Um,
yeah. Yeah. So through the years, what do you think your favorite thing's been about running? And that's such a broad question, but
throughout the years, you're saying?
yeah. So like throughout like, second grade to now, what's like your
Oh,
favorite thing about running?
oh man. I mean, this will be like kind of I don't want to say cliche, but it's just like I've met like the best people in my life, like for sure.
Yeah.
Like my best friends. Truth. I mean, I still talk to like in 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks, I have one of my best friends, his wedding down in Jacksonville. So heading
Oh,
over there for his wedding. We're already like trying to figure out like we're gonna get a massive like rental car so we can all like go from Jacksonville to where he's getting married in South Georgia. Um, you know, my college coach
yeah.
like Plaz, like I wouldn't be here without him. Even like Kevin
Yeah.
Hansen at Hanson Brooks, like just like they're all just very 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 great high level people. Des, like I met my girlfriend through running. Just all of that.
Oh,
So that's probably my favorite thing just about the sport is like the connections I made, and just the friends. I mean, we're already one of my best friends. It's his birthday today, and so we're like we doing birthday miles tomorrow. Like he had a workout today, um, so we're trying to line that up, and it's just like that's what I look forward to. It's the connections and chop it up with different people. So and it's opened so many doors. Just besides obviously running and then the people within it. So.
yeah. So through all that community, who would you say has been like the most admirable, or who do you
Uh,
admire?
Yeah, so definitely Des for sure. I mean,
Okay.
if I have like, I mean, she's my big sister, like first and foremost. I mean, I look up to her a ton. Like if I need anything, I go to her.
Yeah.
She's who I call for race plan advice if I have any questions. A couple
Mm,
training questions here and there. We even chop it up over beer, coffee, over like, and we talk fashion all the time too. So that's always fun. And then my college coach, Steve Placentia, so Plaz is what he goes by. He's the one who
that's awesome.
took me from like a small town, like Minnesota kid, turned me, I was a state champion in high school, but he turned me into like, all Big Ten, all region and cross country, really
Oh,
like
nice.
develop me very strategically from pretty immature freshman, pretty arrogant, cocky freshman into like, hey, you're not that good. You act like you need to, or you're good, but you need to actually like, I was already very, very dedicated and like wanted to work hard, but it was just like, there's several things you can work on and clean up. And like, it's hard to party and run really hard and, race really hard. So we flipped that real quick after my freshman year.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, definitely, Plaz and Des for sure.
Those are great names. Plaz. That's awesome.
Yep.
So we'll move on to the section rapid fire questions. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here
I
we go.
think
Okay.
we'll see. Like I said, I'm shooting from the hip here, so
I love
like
it. That's what makes it authentic.
it
You
could be
know?
super shitty. It could be super shitty answer. So like for the
That's not good.
listeners, I'm sorry.
Okay. What is something that you're the most excited for that hasn't happened yet in 2023?
Shit. I mean, is it for me personally or just in general?
Either or.
Get back to work. Get back Olympic trials segment. Getting ready for that. So first one was awesome.
Ooh.
First one was awesome. Getting back to work. Getting ready to compete at the trials. So I think I'll be in Boulder. Maybe I go to Florida pre-trials, but obviously that'll be like next year. And the rest of this year is pretty, honestly, we got Thanksgiving like a week and then Christmas. So just getting back to work in between that and working through
Yeah.
those. So looking forward to it. It's also like, and this is why I'm looking forward to too. It's like everyone's pretty damn laxed for like the next month ish around like
Yes.
Thanksgiving to Christmas. So for me, it also makes like everything else very less stressed. Like I'm not really stressed anyways. My job's to get up and train. Very fortunate to have that. But like at the same time, it's like everyone else is a little more chill, so it makes just daily life a little more chill. And
Yeah.
go train and don't worry about anything else. So
Exactly. I feel you on that one. All right. What's your go-to breakfast?
I'm so boring. I'm the same thing every day. So
It's all
and
right.
like and it's multifaceted. So I have two breakfasts. So I wake up. The go-to breakfast first started off is a pour over coffee. So like if you look like well have a gooseneck kettle, origami pour over set, scale, grinder. You do it. So it's like I have that bread with nut butter and honey on it. That's pre-run. Then after my run, I have a massive smoothie in my blender with BPM protein, berries, banana, spinach, almond milk, sometimes nut butter, collagen, creatine. That's every morning. So that's my breakfast
Damn.
go to right there. If we're out at brunch, I'm a breakfast burrito guy. So
Okay.
yeah.
Damn, that is impressive. I can't drink coffee
So
before I go on runs. I have
well
to go to the
so
bathroom.
so for well that's the thing for me. It's like I go to the bathroom like after the coffee typically. See, and that's another thing as
Oh.
well. And also I'm a backtrack too, like what we're talking about, like fueling and everything for like ripping the ketone shots. There's like I don't it's a caffeine replacement essentially. So like I love coffee, but it's like I don't sleep at all at night if I have coffee after in the afternoon. So it's like this is the easy fix for the afternoon like jitters. Or so you can go to bed
Oh.
I could rip this and go to sleep right after, fortunately. So it's not a stimulant. Um
That's nice.
yeah, it's good.
Shit.
So
Okay, what is one thing you want listeners to know about you?
ooh. I
Cheeky.
guess I mean this is easy. Yeah, I mean next one is just like we're going faster the next time. Is definitely like they got to know that for I'm trying to keep doing dope shit, and I think breaking your own world records pretty dope shit. So
I love it. Okay, last one. What are 3 things that you're grateful for?
can I say the first thing that pops in my head? But it's so cheesy.
Of course.
Okay, I was just say yeah, family, friends, and then being able to do like dope shit.
Love it. See, that's perfect.
So
Yeah. Okay, man. Well, that like wraps up the podcast. Here, let me stop recording.